Oral Communication and Context, Quarter 1, Module 3. Strategies to avoid communication breakdown. Hello, good morning. This is Teacher Mike. Today, we are going to discuss the strategies to avoid communication breakdown. After going through this module, you are expected to define the concept of communication breakdown, identify the different kinds of barriers to effective communication, explain the causes of communication breakdown, and use appropriate strategies to avoid communication breakdown and achieve the goals of relationship and community building. Before we proceed, please answer the pre-assessment activity. In Module 2, you have learned about the models of communication. You have realized how the different elements of communication work together to achieve a successful communication transaction. Now, let us find out if you can still remember your previous lesson by answering these questions. Communication is a process of exchanging thoughts, ideas, and opinions in order to connect with other people. Its goal is to achieve a clear and effective understanding, resulting to good relationships in the community. However, there are times when this goal is not reached due to certain factors. When this happens, there is communication breakdown. Identify the reasons for the communication breakdown in each picture. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper similar to the box below. The elements involved in communication are important in the success or failure of this process. These very same elements, the sender, message, receiver, feedback, etc., can pose a threat to the efficiency or effectiveness of the process. Communication breakdown may occur when problems in any of the elements involved arise. They become barriers to communication. Simply put it this way: communication breakdown results when the intended message of the sender is not understood exactly by the receiver. Barriers to communication are present. Recognizing the barriers or obstacles to effective communication is important in order to avoid communication breakdown. Here are some of the barriers that may cause communication failure. Barriers to communication. Number 1, physical barriers. Physical barriers are the natural or environmental condition that act as barrier in communication in sending the message from sender to receiver. Examples are people talking too loud, noise from a construction site, loud sounds of karaoke, blaring of jeepney horns. Second, psychological barriers. Psychological barriers are called as mental barriers. These refer to social and personal issues of a speaker towards communicating with others. Examples: trauma, shyness or lack of confidence, depression, fear, or also known as stage fright. Number 3, cultural barriers. Cultural barriers pertain to communication problems encountered by people regarding their intrinsic values, beliefs, and traditions in conflict with others. People's culture affect the way they communicate and relate to others. Examples: different beliefs, traditions and customs, manners of dressing, speaking. The fourth one, linguistic barriers. Linguistic barriers pertain to conflicts with regard to language and word meanings. Because words carry denotative and connotative meanings, they can sometimes cause confusion and misunderstanding. Meaning of words and symbols also vary depending on culture. Examples: difference in language, accent and dialect, use of jargon and slang, speech defects, or language impairments. Werder Burr in 1991 gives a similar idea of barrier when he classifies noise into 3 kinds: external, internal, and semantic noise. External noises are the sight, sound, and other stimuli that draw people's attention away from intended meaning. Examples of these are noise from vehicles, singing at the neighborhood, visual aids in front of the classroom, the dog barking, the sound of an airplane. Internal noises are the thoughts and feelings that interfere with meaning. Examples: confrontation with a friend, fear of speaking in front of the class, racial prejudice. Semantic noises are the alternate meanings aroused by a speaker's symbols. This idea means that a word may have another meaning in the minds of the students, or in this case, the listeners. This is affected by the language in which they grew and the culture in which they are exposed to. Examples: incorrect grammar, using excessive technical jargons, using idiomatic expressions. So in this activity, identify the kind of communication barrier exemplified by each description. Tell whether it is physiological, psychological, cultural, or linguistic barrier. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. A Activity number 2. Explain why there is communication breakdown on the given situations. Again, write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. This time, answer the assessment activity by clicking the link provided. Lesson 2. Various strategies to avoid communication breakdown. In Lesson 1, you have learned the concept of communication breakdown and its causes. In this lesson, you will find out how can this breakdown of communication be avoided. In this activity, list down 2 to 3 situations based on the activity in Lesson 1 in which communication breakdowns were experienced at home, school, and community. Then, suggest one best strategy to avoid such communication breakdown. Communication breakdown may at times be inevitable, but as a sensible speaker or sender of the message, we could avoid this. Understanding the concept of communication breakdown and its causes will help us realize that failure in communication may be avoided through certain strategies that we could adapt. Here is an article entitled 5 Ways to Avoid Communication Breakdown by Bronnie Peterson. 5 Ways to Avoid Communication Breakdown by Bronnie Peterson. Communication breakdown can cause issues or problems at home, school, or community. There are so many barriers to communication like physiological, psychological, cultural, and linguistics. Sometimes, some communication barriers are too difficult to solve, and this will lead to slowing the progress and efficiency. Here are the possible strategies to avoid communication breakdown. Number 1. Have clarity of thought before speaking. Arrange your thoughts before verbalizing them. This can help you communicate much more clearly and succinctly. It's a better idea to say something like, "I've got a few ideas here. Let me go through them one at a time. We can treat each one on its own merit." Number 2, learn to listen. As simple as it sounds, you'll be surprised how many people out there do not know how to listen well. Not understanding those who are trying to communicate with will lead to a conversation fraught with misunderstandings. Do not be afraid to ask them to repeat or explain further in polite manner once you do not understand the point. Number 3, take care of your body language and tone. Keep your emotions in check. Try to maintain eye contact and adopt a relaxed tone when conversing with others. Number 4, build up your confidence by asking for feedback and observing others. Focus on improving your skills by practicing in front of those who you may feel more comfortable with. You can also ask those whose advice you value to give you feedback and critique your communication style after a discussion. Number 5, communicate face-to-face on the important issues. Having that face-to-face dialogue means you can convey your point more clearly with your body language as well as your tone of voice. It can also help to clear up any misunderstandings or distortion of the message that could occur through other mediums. Remember, becoming an effective communicator takes time and practice. Over time, using these strategies can lead to better communication in your personal relationships and more productive workplace environments as well. Answer the following questions based on the article above. A smooth and successful communication transaction may result if we follow the strategies to avoid communication breakdown. Communication becomes successful if and only if our communication goal is achieved. That is, an understanding is reached and a relationship is built or maintained. Here are some strategies to avoid communication breakdown. This is according to Quipper. Keep focused. One way of being focused is to put in mind the purpose of communication. As a speaker, identify your purpose for speaking, and as a listener, find the speaker's purpose through his or her verbal and non-verbal cues. Speak intelligibly. Speaking intelligibly or clearly means using the appropriate speaking volume, pitch rate, proper enunciation, stress, and acceptable pronunciation. We speak in order to be understood. Listen with your eyes and ears. Pay attention to verbal and non-verbal message. Effective communication depends on what people say and how they say it. Minimize distractions. Look for a place where you can minimize distractions or noise like closed area, empty room, or quiet places. Lessening the cause for confusion means giving more room to focus and concentrate. Be specific. Use simple and concise words as much as possible in delivering a message. Being specific means being particular and direct to the point. Do not jump to conclusions. Before you give your comments and judgment, be sure that you have listened attentively to the speaker. Conclusions should be drawn after a thorough analysis of point given or information received. Tips on how to avoid communication breakdown. Broom, Cutlip, and Center, 2012, listed 7 C's of effective communication in their book, Effective Public Relations. These are completeness, conciseness, consideration, concreteness, courtesy, clearness, and correctness. Completeness. It is important to whole communication process. The speaker should include everything that the receiver needs to hear, respond, react, or evaluate properly. He or she should be able to convey all pertinent details so listener or audience will be able to grasp the intended message. Conciseness. The message should be direct or straight to the point and should be expressed in the least possible number of words. Irrelevant information should not be included. Consideration. In order to be effective, the speaker should give high regard and courtesy to the audience's background information, such as his or her culture, education, religion, status, mood, feelings, and needs. This will result in building rapport or connection with the audience. Concreteness. Effective communication is backed up by the facts, figures, and real-life examples or situations. This will make the receiver to understand the message better. Courtesy. The speaker can show respect to his or her receivers through understanding their cultures, values, and beliefs. The speaker can show respect to the listeners by demonstrating an understanding of their beliefs, values, and culture. This implies good choice of words and language and a consideration of the audience's perspectives and feelings on the part of the sender. Showing courtesy helps create a positive vibe with the audience. This implies good choice of words and language on the part of the sender and consideration of audience's perspectives. Clearness. It implies the use of simple and specific words to express ideas. When the speaker focuses on specific ideas, it will not confuse the audience. Correctness. Avoiding mistakes in grammar helps to boost the credibility and effectiveness of the message. And at the same time, it eliminates negative impact on the audience. Breakdowns in communication may arise because of several factors, but these factors may be avoided if we follow strategies put forward by experts in the field. Communication is a transaction that we do every day. By following the 7 C's of communication espoused by Broom, Cutlip, and Center, 2012, we may achieve understanding and communicating with others and avoid confusion and misinterpretation. Avoiding communication breakdown helps you to be an effective speaker. These are some strategies you can use to avoid breakdown in communication. This is according to Quipper. Here it is. Do these activities. You may pause each segment for you to get the direction. Take your time. These are the references. Acknowledgements.